Once upon a time, in a field buzzing with life, lived a hard-working ant and a cheerful grasshopper. The sun shone brightly, the flowers bloomed in every color you can imagine, and a gentle breeze made the tall grass dance. It was a perfect summer. The ant, whose name was Andy, was always busy. From the moment the sun peeked over the horizon until it set in the evening, you could see him scurrying back and forth. He would find a tiny crumb of bread, a fallen seed, or a sweet berry, and with all his might, he would carry it back to his anthill. His little legs moved so fast they were just a blur. One sunny afternoon, Andy was struggling to push a large kernel of corn up a small hill. He was sweating and panting, but he didn't stop. Suddenly, he heard a lovely sound. Asterisk twang, twang twiddled dee dee. Asterisk, it was music. He looked up and saw Gregory the grasshopper relaxing on a large green leaf. Gregory had his fiddle tucked under his chin and was playing a joyful tune. He saw Andy struggling and called out, "Hello there, Andy. Why are you working so hard on such a beautiful day? Come, listen to my new song. The sun is shining. The day is long. Let's sing and dance until the dawn." Andy wiped a bead of sweat from his brow and replied, "Hello, Gregory. But I can't stop to play. I'm gathering food for the winter." Gregory laughed. "Winter? But winter is so far away. Look around you, Andy. There's plenty of food everywhere. The trees are full of fruit. The ground is covered in seeds. Why worry about tomorrow when today is so perfect? Relax a little. Live in the moment." He then started playing another happy tune, hopping from one foot to the other. Andy shook his head. "You might think so, Gregory, but summer won't last forever. Soon the leaves will turn brown, the air will grow cold, and this field will be covered in a blanket of snow. What will you eat then? I'm preparing now so my family and I will be safe and warm when winter comes. You should do the same." But Gregory just shrugged his shoulders. "Oh, you worry too much, my friend. I'll have plenty of time to gather food later. For now, I just want to enjoy the sunshine and my music." And with a final, cheerful note from his fiddle, he hopped away, disappearing into the tall grass. Andy sighed and went back to work. Day after day, it was the same story. Andy and his fellow ants worked tirelessly, their storeroom growing fuller and fuller. They filled it with grains, nuts, and dried berries. The anthill was a hive of activity, a perfect example of teamwork and planning. Meanwhile, Gregory spent his days singing, dancing, and playing with other insects who, like him, chose fun over work. He napped in the shade of a mushroom when he was tired and sipped nectar from flowers when he was thirsty. Life was one long, happy song, and he didn't have a care in the world. He would often see the ants and tease them. "Hurry, hurry, little ants, the sky might fall. Hurry, hurry, before you miss all the fun." He would sing. Slowly but surely, the summer days began to shorten. The vibrant green of the meadow started to fade, replaced by shades of yellow, orange, and red. The air grew crisp and a chilly wind began to blow. Autumn had arrived. Gregory noticed the change. The flowers he loved were wilting, and the other fun-loving insects were starting to disappear. It's getting a bit cold, he thought to himself, wrapping his thin arms around his body. And I'm starting to feel a bit hungry. He looked around, but the once plentiful food was now scarce. The berries had been eaten or had fallen and rotted. The seeds were all gone. He remembered Andy's words. Maybe I should gather a little something, he decided. But he was used to playing all day, and the thought of hard work made him tired. Oh, I'll start tomorrow, he'd say. But tomorrow would come, and he'd find another distraction. Then, one morning, Gregory woke up shivering. The world outside was white. A thick layer of snow covered everything. The wind howled, and it was bitterly cold. Winter had finally come, and it had come with a vengeance. Gregory was now desperate. He was cold, weak, and starving. There was no food to be found anywhere. The ground was frozen solid. He stumbled through the deep snow, his fiddle, his once prized possession, now feeling heavy and useless on his back. He was so hungry he could barely walk. Through the swirling snow, he saw a tiny wisp of smoke rising from a small mound. It was the anthill. He remembered his friend Andy. With his last bit of strength, he knocked on the little door. The door creaked open, and there stood Andy, looking warm and well-fed. Gregory, he said, surprised. What are you doing out in this storm? Gregory was so cold he could barely speak. Andy, my friend, I'm so cold and hungry. I haven't eaten in days. I made a mistake. I spent all summer playing while you were working. Now I have nothing. Can you can you spare just a tiny crumb of food? Andy looked at the shivering grasshopper. He remembered all the times Gregory had made fun of him. He could have just shut the door and left him in the cold. But Andy had a kind heart. He saw how sorry and desperate his friend was. He sighed and said, Gregory, all summer I worked while you played. I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen. Gregory hung his head in shame. You are right, he whispered. Seeing his friend's regret, Andy's expression softened. Come inside, he said, opening the door wider. Come in and get warm. We have enough food to share. Gregory couldn't believe his ears. He followed Andy down into the cozy, warm anthill. The air was filled with the smell of baking bread and sweet berries. He saw the huge storerooms filled to the ceiling with all the food the ants had gathered. The little ants were all busy, but they smiled at him kindly. Andy gave Gregory a bowl of warm soup and a piece of bread. It was the most delicious meal Gregory had ever tasted. As he ate, he felt warmth and strength returning to his body. He looked at Andy with tears in his eyes. Thank you, Andy. You saved my life. I have learned my lesson. I was foolish to think that life is all about play. From now on, I promise things will be different. Gregory stayed with the ants for the rest of the winter. In return for their kindness, he played beautiful music for them on his fiddle, filling their cozy home with cheerful melodies. He learned the value of hard work and preparation. When spring finally arrived and the snow melted, Gregory was a changed grasshopper. As soon as the first green shoots appeared, he was out in the field, working side by side with Andy, gathering food for the next winter. He still played his fiddle, of course, but now he understood that there is a time for work and a time for play. And he knew that the sweetest songs are the ones you sing after a good day's work is done. And so, my dear friends, that's the story of the ant and the grasshopper. It teaches us a very important lesson. It's wonderful to have fun and play, but it's also wise to prepare for the future. Hard work today can make for a comfortable and safe tomorrow. It's all about finding the right balance.